Belladonna's Botanicals, and welcome to my new YouTube studio setup at the new place. So I will do a formal tour at some point, but it's still kind of a hot mess elsewhere. I just have this little corner set up here with my books and tarot decks. Anyways, so yes, it's been quite a few weeks. So one of the topics I wanted to talk about, and this I'm touching upon two different areas here, but this involves they both surround tarot and oracle decks. Because one of the things I've seen a larger uptick in is a lot of the knockoff decks. I've seen them a lot at like witchy events where people are vending, and I've seen them sometimes in store, like metaphysical shops. And even like one of my colleagues inquired, she's like, some of the decks you have are knockoff decks, and you're selling them for full price, and we'll get into that soon, because a lot of times people don't know how to spot the knockoff decks, and I have plenty of props and decks around to show you. So one of the things, like, and what is happening with a lot of these knockoff decks, like in the instance when a colleague of mine went into, or she was in a local, I guess local store, to her, and she was like, by the way, you know this, and they were shocked, because they had gotten their oracle decks and tarot decks through Azure Green, which is a pretty big, well-established, like metaphysical supply, like wholesale kind of stuff. Like a lot of stuff you see in metaphysical stores will come from like Azure Green or other places like that have the more mass-produced occult goods. So does Azure Green know they're selling knockoff decks? I don't know. I looked at their website, and I looked at another wholesale website, and comparatively, the main thing that I saw in the difference with the way they were listed is that on the other site, not Azure Green, they had like the ISBN number, they had the tarot deck author, the illustrator, all that information, and a lot of that was missing on Azure Green's website, which kind of like, there was item numbers, which is probably their own internal inventory system, but the ISBN number, and I completely forget what that stands for, but it's pretty common. Like every book, every deck kind of has something in that barcode there that is what identifies that. I feel like I should remember what it stands for because I worked in a library, but I do not remember. So how do you tell when you're looking at decks, especially, and this is something, whether you're a retailer or whether you're a consumer or you're thinking about carrying decks, because sometimes you just, like, I'm not going to accuse people of knowingly selling counterfeit decks when they may not know themselves that they are. So, and knockoff decks, I mean, there's a lot on Amazon. I know when I first bought the Angelarium deck by Peter Morbacher. It was like the size of like a playing card deck. Didn't have the book, didn't have anything, and I got that on Amazon. And at the time, I was kind of like, this is weird, but I didn't think anything of it because they were more like playing card size. Now, some decks might come that way, but most of them have a standard size, and we'll get into that. So, and don't even get me started on places like Temu and things like that. But the thing is, a lot of these knockoff ones are being sold for the same price as the legitimate ones. So that's kind of problematic, because who knows who that money is going to if they're counterfeits. So if you really want to support the artists and people whose livelihoods are involved with that, I would very highly recommend doing some extra research, especially now with the influx of AI art generated tarot decks, and I'll get into that soon. So the key sort of takeaway here with how to spot a counterfeit deck is a lot of times they're going to be, like I said, much smaller compared to a standard deck. Let's see, lining that up. Look at how much smaller that is. Now most decks these days kind of have the lift off. They're harder. They've got a nice, they're really high quality. This just kind of has, you know, the kind of flip up. And some decks do come this way. I think my Thoth deck is like that. But it came with the book and all that. So actually, someone gave this to me. So some decks will come that way. So I don't think that that's a main indicator. But this doesn't really tell me anything on the outer side. There's a QR code, and it did come with a guidebook, but it's kind of weird that it's not all in one packet, you know. Does the guidebook tell us anything? Yeah, it's got the meanings, it's got all the cards. See if there's anything. Doesn't give you any inkling as to who wrote this. It just says guidebook. So I'm going to guess that this is a counterfeit deck, which I didn't know at the time I purchased it on Amazon. There's nothing on here about who designed these cards, who wrote the book, or anything. So using this as kind of our litmus test here, as to what to look out for, there's nothing on here about an author, an illustrator, that doesn't have an ISBN number, doesn't even have a barcode on the back of it. Like all the other decks have like that little barcode. So this, I'm going to say, is a counterfeit deck. I don't remember how much it costs on Amazon. And I did try to look because what gave me was the size, because it reminded me of when I bought the Angelarium one and it came in like this size. So if you get a deck that's like this, I would return it and report it as being counterfeit. Whether it's through Amazon, or if you're in a store, just don't buy it, or you know, let the person behind the counter know. Now, the same thing, Oracle decks, because this is actually an Oracle deck, not a tarot, but Oracle decks can have some variations, but they're usually going to be pretty different. So like this is the Crystal Grid deck, and it's a different type of Oracle deck, so all the cards are sort of like this. But you can tell by the high quality that it's got the, put this back in here, it's got all the stuff, it's got the barcode and the ISBN number, it tells you who, yeah, this is from Running Press, it gives you an address, it's got the price printed on it. So it's got all the information there. It's it looks high quality. You can tell this is a legitimate deck, even though it doesn't have the standard card size. Now the box sizes can be, you know, like if you look on the shelf back here, that long on the corner is my Salvador Dali Deluxe Edition tarot deck. So it's really big, but the tarot cards are the standard tarot card size. Now, with the exception of the few decks out there, this is one of my favorite decks, is the Mother Piece deck. This is actually an older deck. It was out I think it came out in 1981. But this is one of the few decks that has circular cards. But again, you can tell. And this one also has the fold-out thing. But it comes with the book. There's an ISBN number. So these are the things you kind of want to look for when you're looking at decks. And whether you're purchasing things wholesale for your store or whether it's online or brick and mortar, looking for this. And if you don't find the information on the listing you are looking at, I would inquire, because you might end up with a whole bunch of counterfeit decks. Now, as far as card sizes go, like this is the... And it says on here with the Aleister Crowley Thoth deck is that it's the large deck, because they do have a standard size deck for this. But this was a special one that they did, and the cards are a bit larger than a normal kind of, we have the Oraculum Leviathan, which is my favorite deck. So looking at the size of the cards, this is going to, this is going to be more of the standard kind of size. This one's a little larger as far as a tarot deck goes. And let's put these all back in the right things. So a standard tarot deck, and pardon. This is the only, I couldn't find my measuring tape, but so generally speaking, turn this around so you can see. Generally speaking, the cards are going to be about a little under 3 inches across, and about a little under 5 inches. There we go. Also, it may vary if it's European or something, because yay us and our the imperial system instead of the metric system. But most cards you can tell are going to be have some type of this. You can tell this is a quality deck. Whereas you look at something like this, it looks like something I should have paid $5 for on Temu, if that. So, going a little bit into Oracle decks, and the card sizes might vary a little bit more. Oracle decks tend to be a little more wider, I think, than the tarot ones. I tend to have more Oracle decks, but again, you can tell by the paper quality, you can tell by the things that I just listed with the measurements. Most of the time, they're going to fall in that range. There might be some variations, like I showed you with the larger Thoth deck and the circular decks. I think there's a couple other I've seen one other circular deck. But you can tell when you buy and this one is a circular. I knew I had something else that was circular. This is the Wild Unknowns archetype, or archetypes deck. But yeah, this one has circular cards. But you can tell by the fact it has a really nice, case for the cards. It's got a really high quality book, that this is not a knockoff, So just to give you a couple examples there of what you want to look out for as far as tarot decks, and maybe you don't care, maybe the thing is with the knockoff decks is oftentimes you're paying the same amount that you would be paying for the authentic deck. So you're not, there's so much, and I see this a lot with selling on different platforms. There's so much scammers and people out there looking to make a quick buck off of anything they possibly can, ripping off anyone they can, and we really need to kind of not be feeding into this and supporting it, because that's how we're giving, we're not, I would rather give this person my money and not, some rip-off artist the money. And Kickstarter is another good way to back and fund different tarot decks. So we have the Angelarium Oracle of Emanations was the first deck. They're releasing the Oracle of Watchers. They have a Kickstarter going right now. I think they're starting to ship them in February of 2024. But, you can tell that's a legitimate thing. And there's a ton of really awesome tarot decks on Kickstarter by legitimate artists. And so this is one of the things too, like for retailers, like purchase directly through the publishing companies. Like Lo Scarabeo is a big one. You see, like this is U.S. Game Systems Inc. is another one. I'm just looking at the ones that are in front of me. This isn't, hidden knowledge on where to find these. So sometimes you really have to look at these, like Azure Green. I don't know if they realize they're selling knockoff decks or they just don't care. I don't know a whole lot about the company. I've bought some things from them before, but, and I'm not trying to slag the company, but, it's selling those decks because people, will see them. Well, when I'm walking around an event, I look and I see, this kind of deck being sold for what this deck goes for. And the people don't know that they're selling, knockoff decks. So next I wanted to talk about my favorite thing to rant about in recent months is AI art. Not my favorite thing in the world. So again, AI art is not real art. They're not real artists. And even if, and honestly, I lose respect for people. Even if you're a legitimate artist and you're using I really don't have much respect for you at that point. Um, because I have a video, I'll link it below, about all my thoughts, uncensored, about what I think about AI art and writing. So now, if you're concerned, like me, I don't want to buy AI generated tarot decks, and right now they're flooding the market to the detriment of people who have spent their lives creating tarot and oracle decks, artists and writers and all of that. I can just go and plug in a whole bunch of things and churn out a tarot deck tomorrow. Um, you're losing the humanity and the connection with the tarot to just churn out AI generated schlock. So they will have that look, and I talk about this a little bit in the video that I linked below about AI art. My thoughts on it is that uncanny valley where it's like that hyper realism that becomes unrealistic, and also things just don't come out right. I think in the video I linked to a blog post where I kind of looked at, I broke down a viral post with a lot of, I think it was the Baphomet's book club thing that was going around earlier this year that people thought was real. I broke down each photo and circled. I was like, here, look at this. This man is part of the chair. Or look at this. This kid has, 20 fingers on one hand. All the things that come out in AI generated art that just aren't quite right. So they'll have that look. And read the details, read the descriptions. Any reputable, hi Corey. There's Corey in the background. He's probably gonna come up here. Yep. And we have a Corey. And I pointed in the right direction. Hi, buddy. Yeah, we don't like AI art, right? He's like, no, we do not. So anyone that's reputable will say that will disclose if they're using AI just, I designed this and pulled some AI elements in, or it's fully done AI. They should disclose that information. If they aren't disclosing that information, buyer beware, stay away. So we're in the day and age now where we really have to do our due diligence and extra work to make sure that we're not buying counterfeit and fake crap. So look up the artist, or artists if they're multiple, or the writer. Compare the decks with any past works. Also look at the amount that they've written in or produced in recent times. If suddenly, they went from producing, say, one deck every 2 years to 50 decks within the past year, chances are that's what they're doing. It's AI generated stuff. Or much like we see in the occult author industry, is there's fake writers who are just churning out, wow, you wrote 50 books last year, good on you. Obviously not written by, there's a huge thing that's been going on in the herbalism community where there's AI generated wild foraging books. Yeah, do you want to die by AI telling you to eat some water hemlock? Have fun with that. So I would really look that if there's a sudden uptick in productivity and that they've released 10 decks in the past 6 months, that they're probably AI generated decks, because sit there and plug, to be a keyboard warrior, plug, what do they call them? Promptologists. Anyways, it's a reason it sounds a lot like proctologist, because you're full of shit. And you got fingers up other people's ass all the time. Be that as it may, come on, we know how I am. I do not mince words. So, looking at that, now, looking again at the individual cards that would be in a deck that could possibly be AI, examine the elements in the art. Like if they're really straying far from the classical means, especially for tarot decks, or just seem not to utilize any type of story arc, it's just all over the place, chances are it's probably AI or just someone who's really bad at it. But ask, inquire, Google a thing. We live in the age where we can find this information out in seconds. Google. And if you ask the person directly and they avoid answering you, at this point, I would just assume it's AI generated. So what this is the problem with the AI generated decks is that you have people who've never studied, used, or designed tarot decks before churning them out to make a quick buck, to the detriment of actual artists and actual designers who've made their livelihoods on this. They lack attention to the detail, and that gives them their soul. Because, I mean, each deck has a personality to it. I'm like, I gotta tell you, the Rider Waite is a fucking dick. I stand by that. The Rider 8 is just rude. Rider Waite is just a rude deck. Like, every time I get a reading from them, I'm like, I'm going to, yeah, it's a rude deck to me. Anyways, but they all have their personalities to them. And there's different types of readings that, like, some decks you want to pull for certain types of readings. And there's a soul and a personality to it. That's missing with AI art. It's the soul of the artist and the writer. It's missing the humanity. You might be able to churn out something for a quick buck, but it's nothing. So what's happened as a result of this flood of AI generated bullshit tarot and oracle decks hitting the market is it's forced makers who have worked on designing decks for years to push their prices down to compete with the flood of junk decks that are hitting the market now. And that's, as an artist myself, as someone who has a BFA in art and a partial MFA, I didn't finish my MFA, but I did a full year's work of MFA work towards it. So I've been, went to art school. I've been studying art for 30 some years at this point. So, yeah, the term starving artist doesn't, come out of nowhere. It takes a lot of hard work to make money, to build a name for yourself, to be. And then you have these idiots coming in that are like, type, basically keyword searching how to do it, making a tarot deck, taking money out of, like, the amount of skill. Like, I mean, I'm a professionally trained artist. There's no way I could design a deck like this because I'm not, excuse me, that's not my wheelhouse. But I mean, I could do a photography deck, but I mean, I've toyed with the idea of tarot decks for years, or oracle decks or something like that. But I just, real is better. AI has its place. It's not even really technically. I go into that in the video below. It's not really artificial intelligence. It's just kind of plagiarism machines, because that's what it is, and that's the problem. And what I would hope for artists, for actual artists who actually design things and are educated in it, to not be putting their work into these plagiarism engines, because it's like, you realize once you put your stuff in there, your face in there, that anyone can use that. And I've seen a recent spate of posts going around, like funny things of, I don't know, what was one? Oh, it was like, those nighttime camera, like outdoor cameras, and it's like, capturing Nicolas Cage, running with the chupacabra or whatever. I'm like, well, that's funny. Is that going to be funny when they take your child's face and your child and make adult oriented videos for speedos? Because they can do that with AI art, and you can always count on one thing: humans are horrible. Yes. If whatever the worst possible thing you can think of, somebody's already doing it right now. So do you want to be starring in dog porn because you've uploaded your face to get a cute little Facebook AI generated profile picture? I don't think so. Corey decided to curl up on the pillow behind me. I just thought I'd share that because I'm like, what's that behind me kicking me? It's my cat. Anyways, so I hope you found this video helpful, because I think this is really important. I mean, as a creator, not only as a content creator, but as someone who makes a fuck ton of things, there's a lot of education that goes into that, and I have great respect for that. I'm not going to, I mean, I could see with the fake decks, if you were getting like, if this was $10 as opposed to this being $30, okay, maybe I could understand you saving money, but you're not. A lot of times they're the same freaking price, and you're just not getting what you pay for. So I just want everyone to be aware of this and to really take a look at what is going on in the world. Now there are some I think there's a certain version of the Rider Waite deck that is public domain that you'll see kind of used, like, 'cause I've seen smaller decks like that, and sometimes they don't even have like the number on it or whatever. Now some decks will and won't include like 5 of wands or whatever. Like I know the Salvador Dali deck doesn't. I'm like, how many wands is this? One, two, three, four, five. Okay, it's 5 wands. you know. Um. Anywho, if you have any questions about this topic, please let me know. I will be more than happy to answer them. And by all means, share the video, because I think this is something that, we really need to be looking at in the community, especially AI artists, because, give you the Gen X salute on that one, artists. Look, I have a degree in art history, and it was to be a bitch art critic, so suck at AI art. Anyways, thank you for watching. Don't forget to click like and subscribe, and I will see you guys later. And I love my new little setup, so it's probably going to change because I feel like I'm missing some books a little bit, but I'm just kind of at least got it set up. So now I have to decorate, which means I have to unpack some boxes and stuff because I have to get my altars reset up and all that. So anyways, I love you all. Don't forget to click like and subscribe. Have a good one.